Hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to another edition of the FutureSox podcast. My name is Ian Eskridge. Joining me, as always, is Mr. James Fox. How are you, James?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Well, you made it through the NFL draft. Are you still alive?
Yeah, I'm
Looks
good.
like you are.
Yeah, I'm fine. Sunday was kind of, or Saturday was kind of, like the old Sunday at the end when you're just done. We went to dinner last night and then it was like on there. It was like still going. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like it's like still on. Like you could see the bar TV. I was like, oh my goodness. This just like thing never ends.
Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. I'm happy that that part is done, but it doesn't matter what happens. They're still going to talk football and talk radio for the next infinity years. So it really
Yes.
doesn't matter.
Yes. And Cubs. Football and
And
Cubs.
Cubs, mostly Cubs. So a lot of stuff's happened this week. One of the things that we talked about that we wanted to see was roster churn, and there has been that. So, Nick Maton finally got sent down for assignment today. So
I know. I was waiting for that one. I mean, I was like wondering who the next one's gonna be. It's like they have like unlimited. Because even I had a bunch of Cubs fans in my mentions like telling me that I don't want Gage Workman or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't really care. I just like rather take the chance that they're like, have you seen how bad he is at third? I'm like, guys, the White Sox have 5 wins. Like it doesn't. I'd rather take my chance on another 24-year-old that was a recent, fairly high pick than one of these vets who I know who they are. Like, and guess what? If Gage Workman stinks, like they'll just DFA him too. Like it's not that big a deal.
yeah, it was one of the guys that we had talked about for the Rule 5 that didn't really, necessarily make a whole lot of sense for the White Sox, but there was some intriguing, things with the bat to look at. So they get him. The Cubs let him go for cash considerations. So that's just another guy to add to the pile of guys, I suppose.
Do you think a team has ever had 3 Rule 5 guys on it? Because he's a Rule 5. That's why it kind of like he has to offer. They had to offer him to the rest of the league like before he goes back to where they take him from Oakland. I think I don't remember, but
Tampa Bay,
Tampa
right?
Bay.
Yeah.
Somebody. Yeah. So the Sox were like, we'll take him, and he has not played yet. Correct. I watched today, and he did not.
No.
He did not
Yeah.
play. Yeah. So
Yeah. No. And speaking of Tampa Bay, the White Sox traded Travis Jankowski to the Rays from Charlotte. So now he's gone. And they also released Cal Mitchell. So some of that log jam that they had in the outfield in Charlotte's kind of gone.
yeah, I saw that because I was wondering if anybody else is going to come up. We will get to promotions, obviously. A couple of people going to Birmingham, well deserved. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're probably going to have some. I mean, my guess is Nick Maton clears and ends up playing in Charlotte would be my guess, right? And then the same thing probably ultimately happens when Joshua Palacios gets his fate and some of these other guys, right? When it's just, I mean, Talkman and some of these guys have to come back at some point, I would assume, right? I don't know if we're ever going to see Josh Rojas play for the White Sox. Like, it's him and Talkman are both out hurt. Slater's going to be a while. Is Brandon Drury still in Charlotte?
Yes. Well, he was playing yesterday. He did not play today.
So maybe he's here then Tuesday.
Possible.
Is my guess, yeah. And then I don't know what spot he takes or what he plays, because that's like the conundrum too now with and Tim Elko, and I'm sure we'll get into it, right? Like, I mean, I don't know what else the man has to do, but I don't know. Do you think it's as easy as just calling him up and playing him at DH, or does Vaughn have to go, right? Because you do have all these other guys now that you're going to try to get DH at bats for. I mean, Elko's more important. Let's see what he has. Like, I don't really understand what's happening. I'm sure I hope somebody gets about it at least Tuesday. Like, what are we doing here? This doesn't make any sense, but we will see if they have some sort of explanation.
The Elko thing is, and I have in the responses to my tweets about Andrew Vaughn being awful in the last week, I've had several people tell me that that this is a first round draft pick and we have to ride with him, and that his history shows that he will get back to somewhere near a league average player by the trade deadline, and they can trade him at that point, and that the White Sox aren't going to eat money.
Based off
Um,
of what?
I I don't know. I mean, and the thing is that if he starts that slow trip back to being a average player, like like what are we looking at? Like a 70 WRC plus by July?
Yeah, I mean, last year it was like 113 in the second half, I think. But overall, it was like not even league average. It was below 90 or it was below 100. So, I mean, it's just so he has options. We've talked about this. Like, they don't even have to cut him if they don't want to cut him. Like, he can go to Charlotte. I just, the thing with Andrew Vaughn right now, like, and we kind of talked about this too, like with the amount of money that he makes, if they were to DFA him or even like if they could release him, nobody would pick him up. Nobody's paying him $5 million. He's awful. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is there. I mean, maybe they do a swing change like they have with Miguel Vargas, who actually looks a lot better since said swing change, right? But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I looked earlier. Tim Elko has a 184 WRC plus in AAA Charlotte. It's a 29% K rate, which look like he's gonna do that. The walk rate's almost 12% though. So he's like improved in areas where he's needed to, right? He's like doubled the walk rate. He's always had power, but now he's using it pretty exclusively. What, he's got 9 homers. I mean, there's no reason for this man to be in Charlotte any longer.
He's hit 5 home runs in his last 3 games. I mean, yeah, I for the last what, like 4 years or whatever, he's averaged like 120 WRC plus, and that's changing levels and learning things as you go. But it seems to me that at this point he's hit the ceiling for that. Well, I mean, maybe the ceiling for that level. Um, I mean, who knows? Maybe he could have a 240 WRC plus, but I like, what else is there for him to do there? He's murdering the baseball. He plays pretty good defense at first. He runs. He's always been a winner, no matter where he's gone. He does the little things for the team. I just, you know, I just don't know. Like, seriously, what else can this guy do? I don't know.
Yeah, it's the type of guy you'd like to reward too. 10 or a $30,000 like 10th round signing, getting to the big leagues again. Like we keep talking about this, it's like a win for your organization, right? I I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I have a feeling that we're gonna see him because they really can't leave him down much longer. But it is gonna bring on some interesting decisions.
Well, I mean, after the A's broadcast was basically clowning them on their broadcast the other day, I mean, it's just another one of those things that kind of says, like, what are you guys doing? Everybody else sees this. Like, why are we going through the motions here with Andrew Vaughn, knowing that he's a known quantity. We know what he is. Even at his best so far in his career, he's been like, you know just a hair above average, averaging 18 home runs a year. And I think that if you were to give a guy like Elko that, that you're probably going to get 25 to 30 home runs if you give him 500 plate appearances. I mean, the strikeout rate might be Adam Dunn-esque, but at least it makes sense to give him the possibility of seeing what he can do instead of holding him back in AAA for unknown reasons other
Right.
than
I mean, I don't
Florida Man.
even care about what that might look like. He's earned the right to find out. Like it's just time to see. I don't know if anybody's like, look, but this team is awful. So, like, I mean, like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. It's like kind of like my attitude. Like, I saw the Gage Workman thing, and people were like, "Oh, he sucks." I'm like, they all suck though. Like, it's fine. Like, maybe find a guy. Like it's great. Like, it doesn't matter.
So on the good side of things, the White Sox have called up Edgar Quero. I mean, it's been 2 weeks since we've been on here,
Yeah.
so one of the huge moves that they made is that they called up Edgar Quero, and he's been putting up some fantastic at bats. Um, the power hasn't necessarily shown up yet. But professional at bats and good defense behind the plate. It's been a pleasant watch with him back there.
Yeah, very limited time. I mean, so far, but pretty good. I mean, I think what it's 34 plate appearances. I don't think that includes today. So yeah, I mean, it's a 15% walk rate basically. Not really striking out. He's seemingly done a lot of those like poke one through the other side of the infield stuff. Like where it just like looks like he knows how to play baseball, and he should be in Chicago for the rest of the year. He's been pretty good. So I mean, even Brooks Baldwin, he's got a 105 WRC plus, like on a rancid team. I mean, there's definitely some positives. They just can't score runs consistently. So then you run into situations like today where it's just like you get a run in the ninth or whatever that is, the 10th, the wacky baseball today, and then you give up a 2-run homer and you lose because it's just it's kind of the way that it goes. But yeah, no,
Y-
Carroll's been pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Neither one of us are that surprised though. So
No, no. So there's some interesting stuff here that Doug brings up that is something that we should certainly talk about here. What is your thought about having Tyler Gilbert be the opener twice, and today they had Brandon Isert, and obviously he gave up a run in the first, so it didn't work out perfectly with Isert today, but it seemed to work fairly well with Gilbert doing it. What do you think about that?
I kind of like it against teams like Oakland that are very lefty heavy, because like they're not gonna sit those guys. So you try to like steal like at least one at bat, right? So then your starter's not facing them a third time essentially. Um, like Oakland's not stupid, right? They're not gonna put their entire right-handed lineup in to face your left-handed opener. Um, and then not have the advantage. So yeah, I think it's done just to try to get through that first inning, like against some lefties, and then go to your. I mean, it seemed to work pretty well for Sean Burke, right, and Cannon too. Both of them kind of did pretty well after it. Um, so yeah, I think Gilbert probably better. Isert got in some trouble today, but I'm curious to see if they keep doing it. When they play like different teams, or like is this going to be what they do from now on? Right? I don't know.
It's an interesting thought. I don't know how you can continue to do this for the entire year, but I mean, if it's it lets your starter have an extra inning when obviously when you would like to think that your starters are your top pitchers on your in your you know staff. So if they can limit plate appearances, that they can go much deeper into games. So that seems interesting. I just don't know if it's something that they'd want to do for that long. I mean, I don't know if they're just playing with the idea or seeing what the how it ends up working out. Maybe they do it for a couple more series to try and get some data on it, whether it's something that's useful or not.
Yeah, no, I kind of like just doing different stuff, especially when you're not very good. I mean, we kind of talked about the roster churn. This is similar, right? Just different. I want to see different, and they're trying different. I think, which is good. It kind of sucks for the starting pitchers to not technically get like games started. I think. So that's like one of the drawbacks, but I think they're just trying to maximize. It's not like, I mean, Sean Burke was a couple more starts away from like being in Charlotte anyway, maybe. So, I mean, it probably can't hurt him. I could see Davis Martin maybe not wanting to do this every time out. I'd be curious to see if they even bother doing it with Shane Smith. Um, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, the thing about Smith is that the stat that's been going around is like the first 4 innings or whatever. Like people have like a
Yeah, they can't hit him at
Oops.
all.
Yeah, they can't hit him at all, but I don't think that would necessarily change whether they started him in the second inning or whether then it would be the second through the fifth inning, right? You would think,
Yeah, I mean, I think
anyway.
it's just third. I think it's just like the third time through he hasn't really been great. Um, but I mean, if he's ever going to start in your rotation long term, I think you have to just like keep letting him do it. I think the thing for him would be like if you let somebody go 3 innings and then had him like piggyback. I think that would make more sense than like having an opener.
Yeah. So brought up here in the chat that by Wolf that the opener thing seemed to correspond with Perez going out. I don't know that that necessarily really has anything to do with it, but Martin Perez is put on the 60-day IL for elbow inflammation, and we had talked about this in our private chat.
Mm-hmm.
Just how strange it's, I assumed that it was going to end up being TJ because you don't get generally put on the 60-day IL for inflammation. That's kind of odd.
Yeah. Well, he has to miss at least 60 days. I mean, they definitely wanted the roster spot. So, regardless of what it is, you're not going to see him for like a good long while. I think 60 days does put him prior to the trade deadline, though, if he could make it back somehow. So, that's like a positive. Like, if he
Hmm.
could come back and make a couple of starts and then you just trade the rest of the deal. Because he was looking good enough to bring something back, basically. Yeah, that's one of the things that just kind of stinks. They've had it's tons of injuries. There's more in the minors now. There's position players getting Tommy John. I mean, it's just one of those seasons, and we're not even through April.
Yeah. We will get to stuff I see in the chat here. A lot of questions about the minor league stuff, and we'll get to that in a little while after we get through this major league segment here, because there actually is quite a bit that happened in the last couple weeks here. So Omar Narvaez comes back, and he has been playing in Charlotte for the last couple of days, which is not a surprise in my opinion. I kind of figured that he was going to end up resigning, but he did elect free agency, so that means that he did go out and gauge interest to see if there was anything else out there for him. I assume that he would probably try and get a backup job somewhere if there was one available to him, and it seems that that is not the case. And since he's already played with the White Sox once this year, what's to stop them from bringing him up again at some point, just in case?
Yeah, you would think that he might have. I mean, I don't know what. I'm curious to see what happens when Corey Lee is like ready to return. I mean, I'm sure they just like slow play that. Like, I don't know that they'll keep 3 catchers. Maybe they will at their peak, right? Like, maybe they wouldn't keep 3 catchers if one of them is Narvaez, but they would if it's Lee and Theis and Quero. Because Quero, I mean, honestly, is the priority at this point, even over Corey Lee. Like if that's your tandem, and then Teal's in the minors until later in the year. Obviously, I mean, it's not like he's exactly like kicking the door down, ready to come up. So, um,
Yeah, that's one of those things. He won International League Player of the Week right out of the gate, and since then, he's not. I mean, he's still doing okay with the bat, but it hasn't been anywhere close to that first weekend that he had right out of the gate, hitting like 550 or whatever it was with a couple of bombs.
right, yeah. So
Um,
that's going to be a little bit. They don't have to worry about having too many catchers. I don't know if there's a such thing as that.
well, I mean, so here's the thing, right? Is that the only way that I really think that they keep 3 catchers is if they plan on having those at least 2 of those guys being the majority of the time DH. Because if they do that, they don't want to lose a DH and not have a backup catcher. So that kind of makes sense in that way. And I mean, obviously, we know that Quero is going to DH a little bit. So I don't know. That's a good question. We'll see how that roster gets constructed here as they get their hand forced by Teal or whatever the deal is there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see Carroll get as many at bats as possible. So I'd love him to DH on the days that he's off. I know what it does, to the roster, but you're just, I don't know. I don't know that it just matters enough to worry about that. Like, I just DH him. Who cares? Like, but I guess it's professionals, and you feel obligated to not do that and not lose the DH spot.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess as a major league baseball team, you would prefer to try and probably follow the rules so you don't lose the DH. But realistically, when you've got Andrew Vaughn running out there with a 157 average or whatever it is,
Yeah, you could just
and
let the pitcher hit at that point.
yeah, I mean, what's going to change? Not a whole lot. I mean, we had, you know, Tony La Russa out there having Liam Hendricks running the bases. So at this point, might as well let him hit as well.
Yeah, my goodness.
Um, so Juan Corella comes back also this week, re-signed with the White Sox. He got assigned to the ACL. And I don't know. This is one thing that I kind of brought up in our chat with Elijah. Is that my curiosity is with him coming back? Did they send him to the ACL to lower his paycheck while he's rehabbing?
Oh, so then he gets like the rookie ball salary instead
Yeah.
of like, I don't know. I hope not, but because I mean, either way, like, I mean, there is no reason for him to be like rehabbing in Birmingham. He should be rehabbing in Arizona
Well, I
with
mean, he
their
would be
people. That's
regardless.
where that's where like the rehab people are, the rehab pitching coaches there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hope not, but like they've done similar. I mean, Mason Adams is in Double A too, so technically,
Yep.
right on the roster.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that is a thing.
Do you think the players in the big leagues have to pay for their own soda,
Oh, that's a good
like
question.
in Moneyball?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Something that we should definitely suss out here and see what the deal is. I mean, if the people in the scout seats aren't paying for soda, I would hope that the players aren't, but who knows?
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
What do you
you
think
have
about
anything?
what do you think about opposite field homers?
Um, I think that if somebody's got the power to hit it out oppo, I think that that's a pretty huge deal, and it changes a lot of things. And I would assume that this is in reference to
Yeah,
Tim Elko.
we've had some comments about oppo homers, and that means that you're late, basically.
No, it doesn't. Not necessarily. I mean, like one of the things that a lot of hitting coaches preach is to hit the ball to the oppo center side of the field. So hitting like aiming for that opposite side, if you are like a millisecond late, yeah, you might hit it a little bit farther to one side than the other. But I mean, like if somebody's got the power to be able to hit the ball over the fence, oppo, like what are we even talking about here?
Yeah.
Still hitting it over the fence, whether it be pull side or oppo. So I don't know.
Vince, I don't think it was Vaughn. I think they literally brought up Elko and how well he was doing.
No, they were actually
Were they?
talking about Bobby Dahlbeck.
Were they okay?
Yeah, they were talking about Bobby Dahlbeck because Bobby Dahlbeck had like he was hitting like three. His stats were like relatively close to Elko's, and he is a bit of a defensive specialist. So, like he can play a ton of different positions. So his flexibility for the White Sox did make sense for them to call him up. So that's why I didn't like kind of say a whole lot about that. And their OPSs were roughly the same as was their batting averages. Just Elko had some, a few more home runs. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, look, if Elko comes out, like Elko's first only or DH, right? So I mean, I understand the reasons. I just think he's too good at this point to not shift some other things around and give it a shot.
Yeah. So Uncle Ted, pull hitter's shortest path to a home run. Uh, if it's the same distance to the wall on both sides, it's the shortest path to a home run. Would be right down the line. I mean, okay, so you're lowering it what, like 3 feet? Come on, give me a break. Let's see here. Ryan Spader says that a team's worst player should be hitting seventh, not ninth. Big kerfuffle on social media. Did you see that?
No, but I mean, I'm sure I could be talked into it. I mean, didn't Tony La Russa do some, where he used to hit the pitcher eighth or whatever for a reason because he thought that was. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we grew up and it was the 3 and 4 hitter, and now everybody hits their best hitter second because you want as many plate appearances as possible. What was the reasoning for seventh? Is it because I mean, my guess is the math says that they're the least likely to come up with people on base, but I don't know.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, we always talked about the second leadoff hitter, so that kind of mentality of trying to get a guy that can actually hit coming up late in the order makes sense. So, you got anything else on the major league team here? Anything important anyway?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's funny that like two of your best players were Rule 5 picks. That's humorous to me, but for all of their shortcomings and all the things they've done wrong, they made a good Rule 5 pick. So somebody got that one right. And I know it's only 4 starts or whatever, but Shane Smith pretty good.
Yeah, as I say, small sample size, but I do enjoy watching him pitch, and for the most part, it's been pretty pleasurable.
Yeah,
So,
he's pretty good.
there was one other thing that I wanted to mention here. It wasn't anything super important, and I have lost my train of thought on who that was that I was going to mention. Um, the White Sox did sign Keona Kella from the former closer for the Pirates. He's been pitching in Birmingham, and he got a save the other night. That's kind of an intriguing arm, I think.
Yeah, he's been out a while, right?
He's had some injuries, and he's kind of been in and out from a couple of organizations. I can't remember off the top of my head who they were, but I know that he's been signed by like two or three different teams, and he did get released by somebody that they could sign him. I just don't remember who that was. I'll look that up right
Yeah, I wasn't
now.
I wasn't sure either. I saw the transaction. There's some others. Caleb Freeman in Charlotte, or was that just like a temporary
Yeah,
thing?
no, he's
Yeah,
there.
he's up there. So there's some moving parts. I mean, obviously Steven Wilson was the fourth piece, I guess, technically in the Dylan Cease trade. He was outrighted. Now he's back. He looks pretty good. So, you know, maybe salvaging a piece there. I think boosters look pretty good. Obviously, we'll see if we see Addison Coffey and some of these other guys. But look, I think it's going to be churn, baby, churn. I think we're going to see a lot of guys.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some. I mean, probably Peyton Paulette at some point. I would think would probably get a shot as well.
Unless they just
Um,
bring him straight to the big leagues. But, like, I don't know. I'm just not
well,
sure.
that's what I was thinking. I mean,
Yeah,
like
okay.
if you he the other day he pitched 2 innings and struck out 6 guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, like if he continues doing stuff like that, even if it's not super consistent, and he does have like a blow up inning here and there, like what sense to send him to Charlotte? Does like what sense does that make?
Yeah, it doesn't really make much sense.
So
And there's no reason to hold Paulette down. It's not like one of those things where you're trying to get extra time or anything. He can just be in your big league bullpen whenever.
yeah, I saw some people saying that the White Sox were playing service time manipulation with some of these guys, and I just
That wasn't.
at this
I don't think that was even the reason for Meidroth.
I don't either.
They legit like didn't love the way he looked in spring training. They wanted him to go down and like work on some things, and then he went down and dominated and came right up right away. I mean, look, they're not holding down Tim Elko because of service time. I mean, he's like 27 years old. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. I don't know, but I don't know. We'll see what comes here. I think that there's going to be plenty of churn here as we go into the next couple of months, because we've seen that quite a few of these guys aren't cutting it. Jordan Leisure blew another lead today. So, well, actually, you know, yeah, another lead, right? They were up.
they were up 2-1, and he was the one that pitched like the 10th.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
gave up a 2-run homer.
yeah, yeah,
That trade's not looking that great either.
yeah. That one's looking pretty rough. On the other hand, though, the Kopech Fetty trade's been looking up here as of late, and people
A little
don't seem
better.
as down on that as they have been.
Well, if Miguel Vargas can salvage anything, I mean, Harel Perez looks pretty good. We have not seen Albertus yet, so
Yeah, still have not seen him taking it bat yet. that's interesting. I don't know.
And I wonder if he's just going to be on the Arizona roster. They do start play like next week, I believe. ACL and DSL is like May 5th, I believe, something like that.
Hmm.
So maybe he's just on that team for a couple of weeks and then up, at that point. So be curious to see how many guys start down there because now we have, guys from there getting promoted to Kannapolis before they've even played games in rookie ball.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how many guys are on that team or what we're, doing basically.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens
Because
when we start seeing box scores.
there weren't a lot of guys from last year's international class that are that are stateside right now. A lot of them stayed down because they had rough years. So, and some of your guys that would typically be there, like a Caleb Bonham, are in low A already. So I will be curious to see what that team looks like.
So, let's flip that switch here to the minor leagues here. You bring up Caleb Bonham, and I didn't tweet out the highlight because injury highlights are never generally a good idea to put out there. But he got hit in the forehead with a baseball, and he went down and got taken out of the game. Missed yesterday. He was back today, and he did get on base and he played. So that was good news. That was worrisome when that happened.
Yeah, he looks pretty interesting. I mean, I know we, had our little FutureSox group text where we were kind of talking about our thoughts on it. And I just think like, I don't like the idea of like re-ranking constantly like Baseball America does. I think you kind of do it at preseason and midseason and just bake in all of the struggles and all of the success like that one time instead of shifting guys constantly. But I mean, he's probably what, like right at 7? I mean, something like that. I mean, he's definitely the most interesting guy after the top 6 right now. I mean, I think a lot of us had like Wolko and Iriarte and some of these other guys there. I think it's definitely Bonham the most interesting of the next group.
Yeah, I mean the start for Wilco hasn't been great. He finally hit his first home run earlier this. What was that? I know it was last week, and it was in Kannapolis. He hit a monster home run, hit it to the third deck of the condo building in right field. But it has not translated as of this week. So, um,
Still 19 years old. So
yeah, no, I'm not that worried about it at this point. But um, it does seem to me, and this is one thing that Gordon Beckham was talking about in the game the other night when he was talking about Miguel Vargas making an approach adjustment to go with his swing adjustments that he's made. And I tweeted out that I'm of the opinion that quite a few of these guys in the system would benefit from changing their approach at the plate. And you know, seems to me that that most of the guys that are really really pull happy, those are the guys who are having the most problems with their starts so far this year. Um, you know, I mean, obviously that's a bit of a coincidence, probably, but the guys that you're looking to get big things out of that are left-handed power bats, a lot of pulling the baseball and a lot of grounding out and popping out to the third baseman because they're not making great contact and rolling over everything. So
yeah, I mean, it helped Montgomery for a little bit whenever he would get away from trying to pull everything, right? So, um, I don't know exactly what they're preaching with the totally new coaching staff. I don't think
yeah,
it's to pull everything, but these guys get in their situations where they start to, and Gordon would know, right? So I actually think Gordon's a lot better in the booth than he was, obviously, when he first started. He sounds pretty good.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was a pretty entertaining thing, and he actually had some things to say, which was nice. It's like he's kind of opening up a little bit on player uh, mechanics and things like that. So that's nice, a nice added little feature to what he does. He was never a shortage for words, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
um Anything else in Kannapolis
I mean,
going on?
the pitchers are fun. I mean, I think that's good. You know, Christian Opper and Luis Reyes are two of the like higher upside guys. I think if we were to re-rank, those two guys would be on some of our lists. I think. Obviously, it's tough, like teenagers in low A, but I mean, the stuff is loud, so that's a positive.
Yeah, no, Reyes and Opper have been awesome. They're young, so you're going to see some problems with consistency, and they're going to have their blow ups here and there, but they looked really good this week, and it's really nice to see a couple of guys who are going to hopefully carry that staff a little bit here because they need some help with innings, and I don't know how much they're going to be allowed to pitch innings. That's kind of one of those things that's been a little weird here, and we're definitely going to talk about it with Grant Taylor here in a little bit because as we move up the system here.
Yeah, that's one of
Um,
the things. I don't know how many innings those guys are going to throw this year. I don't know how many they're allowed to throw. So, whatever their max is, I hope they get to it.
Seems like they've been slowly kind of building up. I think they started at like around 50ish, and the last couple, because they're like a couple starts in, I think they got to around like 70, 75, which you know I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up because this is a Kannapolis thing here. Braden Montgomery just got promoted to Winston-Salem, and that's a pretty huge deal. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's probably time. I mean, I didn't mind them starting him down just because of the injury and he hadn't played at all. But I mean, this is a really advanced college bat that has, 50 plus college homers. Like this is a guy who, had he entered the system last year, he's in Birmingham probably right now, right? So, he'll go to Winston. There was a question about it, I think, from Adrian. I think he goes to Winston, and if he does similar in Winston, like he probably goes to Birmingham pretty soon and finishes there. Would be my guess. Because look, they would like Braden Montgomery to kind of join this young core that they have, for like 2026, I'm sure. So I don't think it's going to be anything crazy where he's like in Charlotte all of a sudden, but if it's 3 weeks in Winston because he's just really good, I think we could see him in Birmingham whenever.
Yep. So one thing that I've heard from I, so many of the responses to Braden Montgomery tweets that I make are he's wasting his time down there. Just send him to Double A. And like something I've been thinking about is if a major leaguer breaks his ankle, fractures his ankle, do they have rehab stints? They go and have rehab stints. They don't
Yes.
just go immediately back to the major leagues. They go on a rehab stint and they get right. The guy hadn't played any minor league games yet, and you want to send him immediately to Double A? Or are we the Angels? Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? Come on. You
You've so
know?
you've so Kenny Williams' burner account then.
I mean, it might be some of
The
these
Angels,
replies.
he'd be in the big leagues already. He would have
Possibly.
he would have broke camp.
I will say, um, what's his name?
What for them?
Second baseman.
Nito for
What's
them? Or
no,
what?
no, no. The second baseman. Why I'm blanking on Christian
Christian
Moore.
Moore? Yeah.
Yeah, he's batting like 150 in Double A
Yeah.
right now.
Well, hey man, it doesn't work. It doesn't work every time. That's why people don't do this. Take
Yeah,
the pop up college prospect and rush him to the big leagues. I mean, it's not easy.
I mean, I'm not saying, and again, I need to reinforce this because I don't want to hear from Angels people, and I probably will anyway. But I like Christian Moore, and I think he can be a good player. But if they pull this nonsense, it's possible that they can screw him up just by doing something like this, and
Oh yeah,
it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
definitely.
And Uncle Ted brings up Nick Kurtz in the comments. Nick Kurtz, he started in single A. Did he waste his time in single A? I mean, he murdered it and had like a 1500 OPS over like 5 games, but they still sent him to single A to see that he was going to be able to do a thing. And he did a thing. So they moved him up. I just don't see how putting Braden Montgomery in A ball, how this is perceived as a problem
Yeah, it's
at
not.
all.
And like these guys went there last year for like a cup of coffee for like an audition, like in August, right? Like after the he didn't like Montgomery didn't have that.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's what this is.
Add that on top of the injury.
Right.
I mean, it's like all of those things combined explain why he was in A ball for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 3 weeks in a 6-month long season. 3 weeks. And these people are whining about it.
Well, and it might help him, and it definitely won't hurt him.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's fine.
What's the problem with letting him have 3 weeks of success before you move him somewhere else and challenge him? Assuming that those first 3 weeks weren't a challenge for him in the first place. In if say he comes in and from the first day, he's hitting like 250, then you're like, okay, you let him work through it for a little bit, and then when the average creeps up, then you bump him. But he came in there and he, hit 350 and had like it was like a 17 game on base streak or something, and he lost it 2 nights ago. So yeah. Also, something awesome. The White Sox DSL team all-star representative Abraham Nunez, or one of their DSL all-star representatives, he got called up to Kannapolis, had a multi-hit game today in his second game, so that was nice to see as well.
Yeah, that's good. He struggled obviously last year, like in Arizona, but I think to close out the year, he made a swing change with White Sox coaches, and he was really good to close out the season. So my guess is he's looked pretty good in Arizona, or they wouldn't be sending him to full season, which is pretty interesting. Another guy, obviously, who's there, who obviously we're jumping back to Kannapolis quickly here, was just like I wasn't expecting Javier Mogollon. In Arizona or in Kannapolis because of the 38% K rate. But he's walking at a 19% clip and only striking out 25% of the time in low A. So, um, not as much power on display as he's had, but he's definitely interesting because he's on base at a 410 clip and he's slugging. So, that's one there. They've had some success with some of their super young guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that home run power to really seep in, if it ever does. Moving into affiliated ball a little bit more, he's going to see less of those cookies.
Yeah,
But
I think he just hit a bunch of mistakes out. Like, yeah.
I mean, he's still going to see mistakes. We'll see how that whole thing goes. But I mean, he is, doubles, triples, stolen bases. He's not striking out. It's good stuff. You got anything else in Canny that you're
No, but
thinking
that's
about talking about?
definitely one of the interesting teams to follow.
Yeah, they've been a fun follow. I mean, the bullpen has definitely been an adventure, and some of the starting pitching's been pretty inconsistent, but
Yeah.
they are fun.
I think the scouting report on Pierce George was correct.
Hey, he had a I think it was 3 up, 3 down. Maybe it was no, it was 4 up, 3 down.
Yeah.
He had a walk sandwiched in his inning today, but he pitched pretty well.
Oh, he's electric. He
Yeah,
just, it's just command.
just got to keep it going. All right, so moving to Winston-Salem, obviously they're going to have Braden Montgomery, but what they don't have now is Caden Connor and Ryan Galanie, who have both been moved up to Birmingham. So there's a couple of promotions. It's another one of those, if you get interviewed by FutureSox, you get promoted. So congrats on that, Ryan Galanie. That's
Oh yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, those guys deserve to be there. I mean, we'll find out. Like, we always talk about like prospect or guy, that sort of thing. I mean, I don't think we really know yet. Guys come out of nowhere, right? Like Tim Elko and do things at Charlotte. I think the thing, that's not in Galanie's favor is that it's probably first base, so he does have to mash. But lucky for him, he's mashed. So that team needed a power infusion and just, some bigger dudes in general. I mean, that was like a whole bunch of slap hitters on that team. So yeah, I think we kind of speculated that this could be happening at some point here pretty soon.
Yeah. So moving back to Kannapolis, because that's where he was most recently. Casey Saki, just to answer your question here, Robert, he is actually having Tommy John surgery. He tried to get some swings in, and so they were DHing him and hoping that he could get some at bats. And apparently, the injury was a little bit too much, and so they decided to go ahead with surgery. I did find something else out interesting about Canny today. TJ McCants, who the White Sox drafted last year uh, out of Alabama, ex Old Miss before that. Apparently, he had a really, really nasty collision with Nathan Archer down in Arizona and was in concussion protocol, like a serious concussion for a little while. So he's actually going to be showing up to Canny here in a couple of weeks, I guess.
Yeah, so I wonder if he starts the season for a week in Arizona too, and then it's just there for a little bit before we get rolling.
Yeah, entirely possible. All right, so moving back to Winston Salem, Aldrin Batista. It came out today. We were thinking it was going to end up being Tommy John, but it ends up being a fractured elbow. So he's going to be out for quite a while.
Quite a while. Yeah, that's not good, but it's not Tommy John. I mean, there's no structural damage, so
I mean, at
as
this
of
point,
now,
if you're going to be out that long,
I know.
just kind of do a little digging around in there and see what's up. If anything's frayed in
Like,
there, just
oh,
chop it up.
your UCL's frayed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
preventive maintenance. It's fine,
yeah, right.
you know? I mean, like when I have a problem with my car, if I take it to a shop and they say, "Hey, this looks like it's going to go at some point,"
Fix it.
I
Yeah,
get it fixed,
yeah.
So let's go ahead and just start doing that with tendons and ligaments. Seems like a good idea.
Jeez.
um Let me think here. So Tanner McDougal with another nice start today, but he gets pulled at 80 pitches. Question on philosophy here from you: how do you feel about the way the White Sox are doing this whole thing? Because this is going to be a question we hear with Taylor. Taylor pitched his limit this year that they've arbitrarily set is 3 innings. He threw 37 pitches today to get through 3 innings, and they still pulled him after 37 pitches.
Yeah, so it's kind of because what was Schultz like before? He was like 4 innings or some pitch amount, right? Like,
It was like 45 pitches or something. Or
yeah, so
I thought it was 45 pitches or 3 innings is what I
yeah,
thought it was,
so
and I kind of
yeah,
think
so
that's where we're
Taylor's
at.
on like the same plan. I mean, I, I don't know. I mean, if he makes 30 starts, he's gonna throw 90 innings. I mean, he probably needs about 100 innings, I would think, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they'll probably get him there. If he throws 100 innings, I'm not that concerned, but it's kind of annoying. I mean, and like a guy like Tanner McDougal, I mean, not to treat these guys like commodities, but I mean, Tanner's had Tommy John already. Like I kind of think you should see if you can let him go and find out if he can start or not, because there's like a very high likelihood that it's a bullpen future anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the limits are for the non Taylor Schultz type guys.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about Tanner McDougal a ton, and his stuff is just fantastic. I just wonder if eventually if that's going to end up being his role. I don't know whether it will be or not. Um, but I mean, the other thing that we always say is that this guy is a starter until he proves that he can't do it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to do that now because he's like 21 years old. I mean, if the White Sox are good, I know that's funny. You can go ahead and laugh. If they're good in like 2027, there's nothing stopping you from just you know, taking the Tanner McDougal that's been starting in Charlotte and throwing him in the big league bullpen and letting him throw fire that. Like there's no reason to make that decision yet, especially with the amount of injuries that they've had.
Yeah, I we've had the talk about whether or not this like holding them back is actually going to benefit them in the long run for keeping injuries out of the system. And I mean, from what we've seen here is that all these guys that they've had still having those injuries, still having all sorts of Tommy John. So at what point do they just decide, is the juice worth the squeeze on holding these guys out from throwing 100 pitches every start to get to a point where they can actually start and qualify for a win? Because I mean, you pulled Tanner McDougal after 4 1/3 innings today because he hit 80 pitches. You know,
Yeah. Well, I mean, Craig Counsell's doing the same thing in the big leagues. So, like I mean,
fair
it's
enough.
just, I mean, it's just, it's the whole thing is crazy.
Well, I mean, for that though, it's like if he's doing that, it's because he doesn't want to go more than 2 times through the order, right?
Right.
I mean, that makes like if that's the thing, and you're going to use analytics and numbers to justify why you're pulling them at that pitch count, like I get it, but like
Yeah, the minors, like it's minor league
when
baseball
you're
games. Yeah.
yeah, when you're at 4 innings, like what are we doing here?
They don't
You know?
do you know, like, do managers go into games like, I gotta go to this guy, this guy, this guy today? Or do they manage it like true?
No, I think that
You know what I'm asking? Like, is it
yeah,
like
no,
one
I
like
get yeah.
I gotta get these 3 specific guys in somewhere, and if I don't do it
Yeah, like
now
spring
type of thing?
training,
Right,
right?
like,
Like they've got
yeah,
a list of guys who they're going to pitch today. I think that certainly plays a part. Now, I don't know if it's like a mandated thing down from like Giannis and
right.
Getz on like who they want to necessarily have, but I think that they've at least got an innings total that they want them to hit, at some point. But I mean, it's possible, right?
Right, that it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like, uh, I don't know. I mean, I saw Jared Kelly had some highlights from today.
Yeah, Jared Kelly's
I
been
forgot
really
about
good.
Jared Kelly. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, him. I mean, him and Dahlquist
They're both good out of the
have
bullpen. Yeah.
both been really good out of the bullpen. Yeah, it's been nice actually
You know,
to see them
high ups, and
making it.
they're both still like 22 somehow. Like, it's like
Yeah, that's pretty insane to think about that part. I didn't even think about that part that they're still that young. But
Doc was a
yeah,
little bit
so
older. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, well, you had McDougal who's like 22 years old, and I think Kelly's 23.
Yeah, I mean Kelly was a high school pick in 2020. Dahlquist was in 19.
Yeah,
And
and
Tanner was in 21, I believe.
21, right? And
Yeah.
he was yeah, exactly. So you've got those guys who are all yeah, and I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening there. Um, I don't think that those guys their path is pretty much set on reliever.
Oh
There's no
yeah.
chance that that's changing at this point. Um, so yeah, so to answer Hayden's question, he asked about whether Galanie's going to Double A. Yes, Galanie is going to Double A. So might as well move to Birmingham here. Wilfred Veras hit a couple of home runs this week. It looks like he's starting to heat up. Nishida's still super annoying. Um,
You don't think
although he's
there's
still diving into first, which that's
yeah,
annoying to
that
me,
is
not
kind of
annoying
rough.
to the other team.
You don't think there's like corresponding they're not losing anybody to Charlotte, are they? Is this just 2 promotions and like release someone, or do you think they're taking cuz Galanie probably gets primary first base, right? At Birmingham,
I mean,
and then Connor gets outfield at bats or outfield time.
I wouldn't be shocked if Podkul got let go.
Right, yeah.
Um, I mean, he's had some good at bats, and also part of the thing here is that when Narvaez left to go to the White Sox, that changed some things. So Turner started getting more time at catcher, so that opened up more time at first base because he's not playing first base, which has put Podkul in there more. I think that Caden Connor played for first base today and yesterday. I think. Um, So I think that that's probably where that corresponding move comes. Like what's going on there with that stuff. Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if anybody else interesting comes up. I do know that Terrell Tatum is taking. He was injured, so he's playing in Winston Salem as of right now.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I would assume that this is like kind of like a little tune-up situation here before he goes back to Birmingham, because
It's like a rehab assignment.
It is like a rehab assignment, and like the thing is that he's hitting the ball, really, really well so far in his rehab stint there. Because I'm going to call it a rehab stint, because it's a rehab stint, because he's been in Double A for a year now. So I assume that he's going to end up back with the Barons here.
So I would imagine we're also going to have a pitching move to Birmingham, because as Adrian said here, I just saw it on Twitter too, Wikelman Gonzalez is headed to Charlotte as well.
Look at that.
So somebody will, I mean, you'll have Wikelman and Schweitzer in Charlotte. Somebody who piggybacked Taylor this time.
Shane Murphy, who moved from Winston up to Birmingham today.
Okay, so maybe he's there, and then
and he pitched well, shockingly,
which is fine. But they need somebody in the rotation for Wikelman. So I wonder if somebody comes up from high A. I mean, I guess it could be.
I saw Lucas Gordon.
It could be. It could be Lucas. It could be Lucas Gordon. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's the type of guy too, where like, there's no reason for him to be in the low minors much longer.
I had the White Sox transactions page up. They did.
These ones were just Chase Ford reporting them. I think like they haven't said anything yet officially, the White Sox, but
gotcha. Well,
we got these.
Seems like he's been pretty reliable. So I'll.
Yeah, he's been pretty accurate every time.
Yeah, I'll just say that he's been pretty good. Not
I remember Wikelman Gonzalez is on the 40 man. Right?
He is. Yeah.
So, I mean, he could be like immediate big league help at some point.
Yeah. Okay, that's a DSL guy.
Yeah, I saw that there was a couple of names on there that looked like, Spanish.
Yeah, I wasn't
names.
Sure who he was.
Yeah, I always look to see how old they are, and if they're younger than 18, it's usually a late international signing before that season starts.
Darlin Almanzar or something like that was the guy I saw. Yeah, that's a good question. Now, who's going to take up these spots in Birmingham? I mean, I would assume that it's going to be probably. I mean, you have Shane Murphy,
so you'll have Schultz and Smith, obviously, and you'll have Taylor with a piggyback. But the other two, and then Gowans.
Yeah, and then Gowans. So who's?
So you only really need one starter, and then you need somebody to piggyback Taylor.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see where this goes. This is going to be. This should be fun.
Yeah. There's a lot of movement. It makes some sense. I mean, you have rookie ball starting. It's just a good time for it. Like guys that are gonna, and you're not gonna see Schultz or Smith in Charlotte. I don't think anytime soon. That's more for guys like immediate help. I mean, Tyler Schweitzer. He goes to Charlotte and pitches well. He might pitch in the big leagues this year at some point.
I mean, you might see Sean Burke.
Right.
If he keeps on walking guys all the time.
Yeah.
Although Nick Nastrini made the start today for the Knights, and that did not go well. He lasted 2/3 of an inning, walked 5 guys.
Yeah, not good.
So, yeah, it's and this is something that's been like a thing for the last couple of weeks, where we've had these guys that are just pulled at 2/3 of an inning because they're hitting like 35 pitches in the first inning.
Right.
Be nice to nip that in the bud at some point.
Oh, James asked about Dunn to Chicago.
That's possible.
Maybe. I mean, that rotation is going to have Schweitzer and Wikelman in it every 5th day. They're still starting Nastrini and they're still starting Uriarte, right? So, and then obviously Owen
for the time being,
Owen White is obviously there too. So, I would imagine the White Sox want a starter in Chicago and they don't want to keep going with bullpen games. So, it could be Justin Dunn. I kind of thought Dunn would be in a relief role this year, just because I thought the shoulder was just hurt enough times where he wasn't going to be able to start anymore, but he's been okay.
Actually, that you mention it, Owen White's start on Saturday got skipped.
Mhm.
So I'm actually kind of curious what's going on because he was supposed to start and Trey Mago started, and all I saw that all I heard from the guy with the Rail Riders was that they found out the night before that Owen White wasn't going to start, and I don't know, and I don't, like I rewound it to see if I could find out why it was that he didn't start, and I never heard an answer. So I don't know like where he's at or what he's doing or like what the deal is with that. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's just moving parts everywhere. So Max brought up coffee to Chicago. I don't think that's happening, but he should.
yeah, I think so. But I will say this: I don't think that it should be shouldn't be in a closer role. It should definitely be a setup role.
Oh yeah.
Just from what I've noticed of how his outings have gone this year, um, setup role seems like probably the best idea for him at this particular moment. But could be that he's also bored and he knows that he shouldn't be there.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so there is that. Let me look. Let me take a look.
Vince
See
Dunn,
here.
I think Dunn was just like a top 20-ish pick. He was rumored that I think he went in the teens, but I mean, yeah, it was still pretty high draft pick.
Is that Justin Dunn?
Yeah, he was asking me when he was drafted, like he was asking me if it was top 5.
I don't think it was top 5. It was pick 19.
Yeah, by the Mets.
Yes, by the Mets. I'm actually looking up to see if I see anything on their transactions about Owen White.
Yeah, because
But
it really could be him because he's on the 40 man as well.
yeah,
When is that spot up? So Tuesday is Shane Smith, right? Um, or no, or is it not? Who pitched today? Today was Davis. So
yeah,
it is. So the spot. So it is. They need a starter for Tuesday. So it could be
it
Owen
might
White.
be.
It could be Owen
Yep,
White Tuesday for the White Sox.
makes sense.
That big league debut.
Yeah, he's been pitching well.
Has he pitched in the big leagues before?
Yeah, I thought he pitched for the Rangers. I thought he made a couple
He
starts,
might
but
have. Yeah. So then
um,
you're Owen White, and then that would actually make the most sense. Is if it
yeah,
were him.
he pitched in 3 games in 2024 and 2023. He pitched in 2 games,
Yeah.
but it was always relief. He didn't. He got no starts.
Right.
So,
Max, I hope never. Those jerseys are an abomination.
are we talking about the
The
Bulls
Bulls
starter?
ones, they look awful.
Yeah, the Bulls starter jersey from like 1995.
Like, what are we doing?
Awful.
Why are we doing this?
I d- who thought that was a good idea? It looks terrible.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It's like they wanted like a jersey that looked like maybe the only organization in town that's worse than they are.
Yeah, I was not a fan.
Worse run, anyways, you know.
Charlotte, other than Tim Elko, Colson still doing the exact same thing that we've been complaining about. Not much has changed other than he hit 1 home run the other day. Um, so there's that. Hooray. Um, Corey Julks has been hitting really well. He's on a crazy heater. I think he's hitting like 360 or something like that as well. And he started hitting home runs also. Um, Teal's been okay, not great. Uh, yeah, Dunn and Owen White both pretty decent with the starts. A
Yeah,
couple
and
of bullpen arms been okay.
I figured it would definitely be one of those two guys instead of. I mean, it's not going to be Uriarte and Strini, not at this point. So
Yeah, I don't know how you can. At this point, it's getting to the point now where I don't even know how they start Iriarte other than it's part of the directive from the general manager's office that he needs to get starts because he's not lasting past an inning.
Well, maybe
It's been ugly.
maybe he should be using an opener.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this last outing. I will give him a little bit of leeway here. Is that there was a fairly early error that kind of just like prolonged the inning.
Yeah, but
And
his stuff's not good.
It's not. No. Yeah, I'm just trying to make excuses for him, James. That's all.
Don't make trades with AJ Preller anymore.
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, Sammy Zavala's looked pretty stinking good for the last couple of weeks, actually.
Yeah, and he's really young and has defensive utility. So
and
I think Thorpe will come back and be at least like a back end big league starter for a long time. So they didn't get nothing, but
well, I mean, you saw that Juan Soto trade?
Right.
Like what the Nationals got back for Juan Soto. I mean, like,
yeah. Well, that's because AJ Preller always has prospects to trade. They never go to the big leagues with the Padres.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Trying to think if there's anything else. Dom Fletcher got his first save.
I saw
today.
that. Yeah,
that's fun.
Yeah, he's going to be the closer on the 2027 White Sox.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I will say that it was more interesting than watching most of the normal position players pitch. Just simply because like he had like this really weird Noah Schultz-esque or like Hagen Smith like release point type deal going on, which made his fastball have a ton of run on it, which was kind of fun. But yeah, he's not a knuckleballer like his brother. That would have been really fun.
Nope. White Sox are back home Tuesday, right? I don't like. I feel like I never know their schedule anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
who's coming in? Is it a divisional opponent? Let's see. I'm gonna look really quick. Tuesday, yeah, the Brewers are in town.
Yeah.
Oh, and Bryce Wilson's scheduled to start Tuesday. So.
Oh, all right.
So Bryce Wilson, Shane Smith, Sean Burke.
Huh. Yeah, I'll have to find out from Jeff what's going on in Charlotte with Owen White. Adrian's asking about Hubi Tuiyonotoa. I saw that he is on the restricted list. Generally, I guess that's like a family issue is usually what they use that list for. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that as to what's going on with him. He's not shown up anywhere that I know of yet. So
have not seen him.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one. You got anything else, James? Anything pressing that you can
No, I think we're all good.
Alrighty then. Just gonna go ahead and put this up here just for fun.
Send down Vaughn.
I'm gonna walk us out. Karen Check's velo is it's not it's not what you want. He's been pitching okay though. I will say that for Charlotte, he's put in some decent innings and he's been all right. Uncle Ted, are we still talking about Spencer Jones here? Stop it with that, please. Dude's hitting 230 in Double-A. Get out of here with Spencer Jones, dude. You have been watching / listening to the Future Sox podcast. If you are listening to this in podcast form, know that you can find us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube and the Purple app. You can also find this podcast along with all of our written content at FutureSox.net. If you are looking for White Sox prospect highlights, you can find them on X at FutureSox, and now also here on our YouTube channel. If you love the content and want to support us here at FutureSox, there is a link to our Patreon in our channel description and at FutureSox.net. You can also toss up a super chat on our YouTube stream. Also, don't forget to like this stream and subscribe with the notifications so you know when we're going live while helping us with the World Wide Web algorithms. My name is Ian Eskridge at Daily White Sox. He is James Fox at JamesFox917. We appreciate all of you. Thanks for coming and hanging out in the chat. You guys are awesome. Thanks for driving our content and talking in the chat. We appreciate you guys. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.